What's up, everybody? Welcome to Geared Up here in Stockholm, Sweden. First and foremost, sorry, crazy technical stuff today. We had to kind of run this thing super bare bones, so it looks a little different because we couldn't get all the video stuff going. But I'm here. I'm Chris with ProPhoto. I've got my man Anders. He's going to swing around for a second.
Hello.
Hey, and so we're going to be having a lot of fun today. So just get the formalities out of the way. This is Geared Up. This is our weekly live broadcast where we talk about lighting, products, techniques, anything that you want to discuss. We are always looking for your questions in the different chat apparatuses, be it on Facebook or YouTube or on our BAM user chat. If you're watching this on ProPhoto.com, you're going to see some links pop up around the edges. If you want to click on those while we're talking, because it's going to be about the products that we're talking about, you can click on those. It'll minimize us and you can get some more info on that. Products, if you're watching this on Facebook and YouTube, you're not going to see that, but if you don't want to see it, then don't worry about it. But let's jump into what we're talking about today. Today, we're diving into simple product photography lighting setups. Things that you can use for everyday, like if someone, if you have a client who needs some product stuff done and they want to do it at a relatively low budget, something that you can throw together relatively quick, then we have some light settings here. Or even if you're just getting down to something like you want to sell some of your stuff on the internet and you need to take some product photos for it, maybe you're a portrait photographer and you're not really keen on a lot of lighting setups that way, you can use some of this stuff for yourself as well. We try to keep it super minimal. In this one, we're going to go with one light setup, and eventually we're going to build into a multiple light setup. Because if you've ever seen some of these product photographers out who solely focus on this stuff, some of these setups can get complicated. There's a lot of small flags and things that they use to cut light and bend it right where they want it. Some stuff that's really incredible and can get really sophisticated. So today we're going to start kind of at the base level and just over the next few lives that we do product photography, we're just going to kind of build on that and have some fun with it. So let's dive into, again, what we're going to be doing. Again, this is super easy stuff to set up. We have a soft light setup, and then we have two different hard light setups to kind of just give you options and looks and feels of the ways of things you want to do. We're going to be using a camera lens for our setup or for our subject that we're photographing today. The cool thing about a camera lens is, one, it's got a shiny actual glass lens itself, so you have to kind of pay attention to how the light's going to hit the shiny stuff. And then the body of the lens is a little more diffused, so you can pay attention to how you light for the diffused portion of stuff. These things also apply to everything in the world. Like when you're photographing human beings, our skin is diffused. Technically, it's not really super shiny, so that's why you can hit it with hard light. It's really, really pretty, but you can also hit it with soft light. So,
Camera settings.
Camera settings. We are shooting, actually, let me flip this over away from the intro so we can actually see pictures. Camera settings are pretty simple. F8, 1/250 of a second, ISO 160. It's what I like to shoot inside the studio. One, it keeps my shutter speed pretty fast if I'm not intentionally dragging the shutter. F8's a really nice way to have a lot of stuff in focus, especially when you're photographing kind of close. And 160, that's my lowest ISO. That's how I keep the grain out of the shot. So, camera lens, people always ask. We're talking about this on an APS-C camera, a 56 millimeter, so it's an 85 millimeter lens. Ideally, I would have my macro with me. I just don't have it with me right now. So, but a macro lens would be dynamite for this kind of stuff. So let's talk lighting setups first. So our first setup is going to be with a B10X Plus with a 3-foot OCF octa. So we want to get nice, big, soft light. It can kind of spread over. It'll give us some really nice highlights on the actual lens itself, but also, or sorry, not on the lens, on the body of the lens, not the glass. So it'll give us some nice diffused out highlights to give us some nice contour. And then the soft light, when it hits the glass itself, because it's so diffused, it's not going to give us a specular hot spot off the glass itself. So this is, again, a softbox is a really great way of photographing some shiny things. So that's where we're kind of going with this first one. It's also going to, you'll see this here in the shot too, it's going to lay some really nice light across this white surface, and it should also hit our background pretty nicely.
Yeah, and we're using it at power level 6.5, so we could have gone with the regular B10.
Yeah.
We're using the OCF softbox 3-foot octa. with the OCF speed ring, so nothing fancy. We could have done B10, but now we had a B10 Plus, so why not?
Yeah, and as far as the light to the modifier, it's probably 2 feet away, 2.5 feet, maybe. For all you meter people out there, it's maybe a little bit less than a meter away. So, meter people, is it okay to say meter people? So cool. So we're going to, and then I'm just triggering because we're going one light. It's got a connect on there, so we're going to be doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and take this first shot so you can kind of see what we're talking about. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. So when we go over here to the computer, you can see that the softbox has done a really, really good job of, again, just kind of adding a beautiful soft light right across the top edges of the body of the lens. You can see it kind of, kissing the inside right here, that nice diffused light right here on the inside. So that's just one really smooth light. Now, the cool thing about shooting this on a white tabletop is that we're getting some reflection back up on the lens itself. So it's just acting like a natural reflector. So the cool thing is it's taking the light from up here, bouncing it back up into the body, and we're getting some nice highlights here. So you have a big soft light source coming from up here. It's hitting this this box down below, which is also in turn acting like a big soft diffuse light source. So you can see these highlights right here along the camera lens are really soft, really smooth. The way it hits this the little glass cover right here over I'm drawing a blank on what that's called. The thing that tells you the lens distance window.
Yeah,
right
the
here.
focus. Yeah.
Yeah, the focus window. That's it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it does a really nice job of diffusing that light off there as well.
But we have a little bit of a line there, right, between the white and the gray.
Yes. So it's very, very beautiful, and then you can tell the shadow's super soft, and I think it's honestly with a one light shot. Yeah. So the little bit of line that you may see right here, the white line and the gray. So the gray is the actual white backdrop, and the white line you're seeing is the end of the actual box that we're shooting the lens on. So that's what that line of demarcation you're seeing between the background and the bottom of the frame is. It's just the difference in. So say you don't want that line, right? Say you want it to be super clean. You want it to be, white surface, white backdrop. We can change up the way that we're shooting. Oh, right here, gotcha. So you want this to be a white surface, you want a white backdrop. We can change up the lighting setup a little bit. So again, because the lens is relatively diffused on the body, we can actually shoot this with a hard light source, and so that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to take that same B10 X Plus, and we're going to back it up a little bit. And so the nice thing about that is the light's going to hit the lens and the background, relatively similar powers. So we're going to have a nice white base that the lens is on, and the background's going to go nice and white with that as well. And we should also still have some of the reflections from the white bottom to give us some good fill. So we're going to take that shot now. So here we go. Lens in the same position, camera's in the same position. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. So, a little bit harder of a light source. We can go and A/B these two side by side. So, a little bit harder of a light source. The cool thing about hard light sources is that they're going to give you a little bit more detail in your in things with texture. So, you can actually see a little bit more information here as far as the lines of the inside of the lens look as opposed to here, where the lines get diffused out a little more. Also, light positioning changes a little bit here. So, since the light is pulled back a little bit more and not coming down so hard from above, there's going to be more light coming to the front of the lens than there was here. But still, a really, really beautiful light source. You can see you're still getting some nice fill right here. These reflections still look really, really good. The cool thing is you're getting maybe some more spotted out highlights like right here on the aperture rim, whereas right here it's a little bit longer highlight than you would have necessarily gotten with the softbox itself. So now for another really good lighting setup that's kind of in the same idea of going with the hard light setup. This is a B10 with a grid on it, and the cool thing about this is because now we're operating at a much closer a much closer proximity between the light and the lens itself, we're going to have less light hitting the background. So we're actually going to go darker on the background. So this is going to add a little bit more dimension. And then, just so we don't lose, should we do a shot without the reflector so they can see how the reflector
Yeah, sure. Of course.
acts with it? So, and then we're going to throw this reflector in to kind of bring some more fill back into it, and you'll see how much that actually changes the shot. So let's take a shot really fast here. This is just a B10 with a 20-degree grid on it to keep that light spotted out. So here we go, 3, 2, 1. So that already looks really, really cool. I think that actually looks really, really nice. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to add this reflector in here. Again, the light's going to kind of bounce off of the reflector. It's also going to kind of bounce off the bottom a little bit, and it's going to add in some more fill. It's going to look really, really nice. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. I count the lens down like I need to make sure it doesn't move while I'm talking to it. So it's just silly stuff. So, but again, some more things that you could do. So, I think this is a cooler image. It has some depth to it, which is nice. Again, the table that we have it setting on starts to fall off right here, so we have this nice little line of demarcation. We're getting some cool, interesting details from the shadow that the hard light is actually giving us, but by having that reflector here over on the side, we're not losing detail in the shadows. So we still have nice shadows. We have these really beautiful smooth highlights right here from that gigantic light source, that big, large reflector. And then again, we still have some nice dimension because of the positioning of the light itself. So, do you have any questions from anybody about any of this stuff?
No questions.
Cool. I'm just triple checking that nothing's popped up on the YouTubes. In all the craziness, I didn't fire this thing back up. So let's just see where we're at. Cool. Oh, hey, yeah, someone said that's really nice. Yeah. So it's again just
Very simple.
Yeah, very simple lighting setups that you can use to do, to take cool images. It doesn't have to be something that's overly complicated. It's, you can get really, really complicated, especially like you can start getting into the points where you're using like little flags, like little pieces of cardboard or like poster board to keep light off of certain things that are reflective. But if you position a single light properly, you can get really, really beautiful results with something incredibly simple. So you don't have to go super crazy, especially if someone asks you to do something on a relatively small budget and you feel like actually accepting that, if again, in that budget that's worth your money, you could do something incredibly simple and get great results like that. And then this is just an evolution of starting. So like when we were playing with all these light setups, we started with a soft light. Then we were like, hey, let's see what happens if we back it up a little bit and let the light, that white light hit the base and the background at the same time with something a little bit harder. And then as we were playing around, we're like, Anders was like, hey, let's maybe throw in something to make it a little bit darker. So again, amazing what you can do. All done with the B10. Minimal stuff. The first hard light shot was with the zoom reflector. The second one was just with a 20-degree grid and a bounce reflector. So really, really simple stuff. It's a great. So those are 3 really great lighting setups. So again, just so you know what let's show you all the images so you can see what the setups were. So let's get rid of this one. So here we go. So this first image right here, that was the lighting setup with the 3-foot octa. Again, really, really close proximity, so that diffusion was given a nice, just really nice coverage all over the lens, and you can tell that from the highlights. That second shot right there is from an OCF zoom reflector on the B10, and what we did there is we backed it up a little bit so that light hit the lens in the background at relatively the same power. It's not the exact same power, but relatively the same power. And that way we got a nice clean white base all the way up into the background. Be really good for a cutout if you needed it. And then for something with a little more dimension, maybe even something with a touch more drama, we brought the B10 in really close with a grid, spotted the light right where we wanted it, and then we bounced back in this is the large black and white reflector, so we used the white side of it, and we just bounced some of that light back into it so we didn't lose any light in the shadows, and just put some really nice highlights back on the base of the unit itself. So really, really cool setups. Again, super easy stuff, and it doesn't have to be super complicated to get awesome results. Is there anything else you think I'm missing on anything, Anders?
I think we're bang on target. I think just we're keeping it simple. We're testing. We're playing around. We're not taking this too seriously. I mean, and nothing get hurt if we try and move the lights around. Let's see what happens because right now we're aiming actually the beacon a little bit in front of.
Oh yeah.
And not directly on.
I forgot about that.
So, and that's you can see you take a picture, you shine it straight on, and you take one image, move it a little bit on the side, take one image, and see what happens.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a big thing. I think don't be afraid to play with your light. Like there are rules. Break those rules.
Yeah.
Like once you kind of understand, but just have fun with it. Like know that we brought this light in closer to get a little bit more drama in it, and then Anders was like, I'm going to feather it a little bit more just so it's not so direct, and we use the edge of that light to light the...
If it looks good, it's right.
Exactly. Perfect.
That's that easy.
Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Sorry for the technical difficulties earlier, but we made it happen somehow.
Yeah.
If you have any other questions, if you want to jump into like a one-on-one session with Gibbet or anybody else, if you can absolutely click one of the links in the bio. But in the meantime, I hope you have an awesome rest of your week, and we'll see you next time on Geared Up. See you later, everybody.
Bye.